We have now passed over $500 million for spot XRP ETFs in less than 12 days. I'm going to give you some additional context and information. Also, we got this new information out of the UK approaching crypto regulation and how Ripple and XRP are going to lead the way. And Tether rating is now weak and has disclosure gaps. What is this going to mean for USDT? And I got a little bit of Bitcoin news in here as well towards the end, but let's check in here with XRP. Happy holidays, everyone. I hope you're traveling safe, and I just really appreciate you hanging out and learning with me as we go here. Chad says, right when XRP ETFs launch, when Bitcoin ETFs launched, Bitcoin went down and took months to recover before taking off, not XRP. And I think Chad has a really good point here. We have seen the Ethereum ETFs and some of the Bitcoin ETFs launch, and not much happened around that time. But as soon as you started getting more and more spot XRP ETFs, the price really started to take off. And you start to wonder, when we start to get a few other ones, 2 or 3 more spot ETFs, what is that going, what is that demand going to see, and how is that going to affect it? There are some reports that we've seen $600 to $800 million worth of XRP bought off OTC dark pools. Jake Claver has mentioned that he believes there's about 1.6 or 1.5 to 2 billion XRP on these OTC desks. And so once that XRP is depleted, how do they, get more XRP? One answer would be Ripple. One answer would be they would need to go to the exchanges where we shop to source that XRP. And that's really what we want. We want to see the ETF providers buying from the open market. That is how we're going to get this price rise. But we're starting to see a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and it's starting to make me even more bullish. We had a great live stream yesterday. We had almost 3,000 people hanging out. I was answering as many questions as I could, and a lot of people are getting really excited. I feed off that energy, and it's just a really incredible time to be alive and to have this knowledge and to keep learning and growing. And I think that's what's most important for all of us here. Coinbase is the majority custodian for all asset manager holdings of XRP. You will see a lot of activity of XRP being sent to Coinbase. It means they are putting it away in cold storage. So we are seeing the biggest uptake here in Coinbase, and that's really good to see. We have some additional information here. Look at this, 296 million between Canary, Bitwise, Franklin, and Grayscale. Just kind of giving you some additional information here. Once we kind of get the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, I mean, things can get really exciting for XRP holders. And then check this out. Look at the single minute of volume for Franklin Templeton's XRPZ, $7.9 million. This is pretty big institutional money coming in finally, and it feels good. All right, so here's the most up-to-date complete picture that I can give you, right? This is the facts that I know them on the ground. 4 US spot XRP ETFs are live. Altogether, they are running a bit over $600 to $650 million in total assets right now. If you use an average price of XRP around $2, this would mean they have about 325 million XRP, give or take, depending on what kind of deal they got. They might have a little bit more, but we're roughly around those numbers. Holding on the order of a couple of 100 million XRP units between them at current prices, low hundreds of millions of XRP translating into 600 million assets under management, except XRP counts will likely keep moving daily with new creations and redemptions and XRP price, but current data points give us a rough ballpark. And so these numbers are constantly changing up and down, hopefully for the up, right? And then here's some information about Rex Osprey, about 100 million assets under management, Canary Capital around 250 to 306 million. And not much information here on Franklin Templeton and Grayscale. Not very much, just roughly about 12 million so far. And these could be yesterday's numbers, so understand these are going to change day to day. If you take a look here at xrp-insights.com, you will see a lot of information here about the daily volumes here, assets under management in total, right? Here's just right here is about $500 million, 570. And so you can see that some of these numbers are very close, right around that $600 million mark. I know there was people saying that over $1.6 billion worth of XRP has been bought up for these ETFs. I cannot see that value, but I'm going to give you the facts as I know. Are you ready to take back control of your crypto? With more than 8 million devices sold worldwide and zero hacks, Ledger is the name trusted by millions, setting the gold standard for digital asset security worldwide. Ledger's hardware wallets do more than keep your Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP safe. They give you real ownership and peace of mind in a rapidly evolving world of Web3. Why choose Ledger? It's simple. Their secure element chip is the same world-class hardware used in your credit cards and passports, Audited and battle tested for blocking both physical and remote threats, your private keys never touch the internet, remaining out of the reach of hackers, malware, and prying eyes. With Ledger, what's yours stays yours. Ooh. Ledger's technology isn't just about brute security. On every device, a tamper-proof screen connected directly to the secure element that verifies your transactions. No backdoors, no fakes, no compromises. Their new proof of identity system even guards your digital presence against AI, deepfakes, and phishing attempts. And all this seamlessly connects to Ledger Live, giving you powerful control over 5,500 assets, providing direct staking, swaps, and access to the entire world of DeFi. But true security involves more than just technology. Ledger's reputation for transparency, trust, and innovation places it at the center of a global movement. From casual investors to world-class enterprises and creators, the brand stands for audacity, ownership, and freedom, empowering you to build and protect your own financial future in every environment. When it comes to keeping your digital assets safe, from XRP to NFTs, Ledger remains a leader with new signers, fresh partnerships, and a mission to secure your value, identity, and data as the Internet of Value goes mainstream. If you care about security, technology, and true control, make Ledger your crypto guardian and join millions of securing the future one wallet at a time. I even use Ledger to secure some of my XRP. It's always been my go-to wallet. I am so excited to share all of this information. There's a link down in the description to all of the best deals on the latest new Ledger products. Ledger's Black Friday sale is here. You can get up to 50% off on some items and up to $90 in Bitcoin on some others. Their technology suite has grown over the years, and it's really impressive to see. This is how I keep most of my XRP safe. I've been doing this for quite some time, even before I started working with Ledger. So go check out the special page Ledger created for me. If you want to support the channel in any way, you can pick up a wallet or any kind of technology for yourself or a family member this holiday season. Now is the best time to shop Ledger. All right, let's get back to the content. Aloha. All right, 21 shares XRP ETF is hyped as bigger in the XRP community due to crypto native expertise, proven track record with billions in Bitcoin and ETH, ETFs drawing dedicated crypto investors versus Franklin Templeton's traditional finance focus. Now, this could be like an ad. They might have been paying Apex Crypto Insights to push 21 shares over the rest of them. I don't know, but hey, you know, all good. Launch timing and momentum caps the November surge as the final boss after Franklin Templeton's November 24 debut, with analysts eyeing 500 million in inflows from its scale. Franklin Templeton edges on fees at 0.19% and early volume of 70 million in just 1 to 2 days, and 21 shares symbolizes the crypto establishment takeover. All right, what's going on with Ripple and the UK as how the UK is approaching crypto regulation to become a global leader in 1 minute. Let's play it.
The UK is one of the world's leading international financial centres, so when it leans into crypto, this matters. Hi, I'm Matt Osborne, Policy Director for Europe at Ripple, and this is Crypto in 1 minute.
Let's go.
The UK is now acting to realise the benefits of crypto technology. The government and regulators are working to bring clarity to the industry. They're engaging with leading players, both homegrown and global, and that's a huge step forward. We're starting to see the results already, with leading UK financial institutions exploring what crypto means for their businesses. Though the UK is a little behind other jurisdictions, it actually has a second mover advantage, meaning it can look to other regions to learn what's worked and what hasn't. For example, the UK plans to allow overseas stablecoins like RLUSD to be used locally, supporting the UK's role as an international hub. Of course, challenges remain. The new framework needs to be implemented at pace, and the Bank of England has been cautious on stablecoins, though it's showing signs of a more constructive approach. The UK is recognising that proportionate, innovation-friendly rules are essential. If the UK follows through, it's on track to become a global leader in digital assets.
So it's saying, like, you know, UK has been working towards this crypto regulation. They've been a little bit slower than other countries to learn what has worked and what hasn't. That is kind of what they're saying here, the approach. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, over the next 1 to 2 years, all of these countries are going to have some of their own crypto strategies and regulation rolled out. And that's why the next like 4 to 5 years in the crypto space should be really interesting up to 2030. That's going to be the most important time to have all of this information, and let's ride the wave, you know? All right, so Digital Asset Investor says S&P cuts Tether stablecoin rating to weak on disclosure gaps. And here's Cointelegraph, S&P Global downgraded Tether's USDT 5 weak, the lowest score on its stablecoin risk scale. It doesn't get any lower. You are a multi-billion-dollar company, right? You've made billions of dollars per year, Tether, and you can't produce an audit. And now the S&P Global has downgraded you to the weakest possible rating for any stablecoin, and you're the largest in the world. Does anybody see a problem here? We've been talking about Tether for like 3 or 4 years. I've had this channel for 3 years. Before that, we were talking about it on the other channel. This is not a good situation. This is why institutions are not going to pick up the phone and say, hey, Bo Hines, let's use Tether in our infrastructure. Institutions are actually now running away from Tether. All right. You know, the warnings have been there for years. We've been talking about it for years. And what does this actually mean? So let's just get into this. The downgrade signals that S&P now views Tether's USDT as the riskiest major fiat peg stablecoin on its scale, mainly because the reserve composition, transparency gaps, and growing systemic importance. S&P ratings cut its stablecoin stability assessment on Tether to 5 weak, the lowest rating on a 1 to 5 scale from 4. So it was at 4, now it is at 5. The downgrade reflects S&P's view of the USDT as a materially higher risk of breaking its dollar peg over stress scenarios. So we are about to see a lot of stress in the bond market as the carry trade unwinds in Japan. That could put tremendous risk on US bonds. Tether is mainly backed up by US bonds. They are the weakest link here in this whole system. If Tether begins to break, what do you think happens to the crypto market? This could be a very bad black swan event because there is a ton of money. You're talking like here, let's take a look here. Coin market cap. Tether has $184 billion market cap. Every exchange has Tether pairs, and a lot of people keep their stables in Tether across multiple chains. What if Tether loses 20, 30% of its value? Can you imagine the crash that would make on the entire market? This would give RLUSD, USDC, and other stablecoins obviously a bigger role to play here. And I think this really is screaming that something could go horribly wrong here with Tether. And I think there's a reason that they won't give us the information on the reserves. And it's a very scary moment. I don't keep any stablecoins in Tether for this reason. I think you should probably, if you have a lot of money sitting in Tether, do the due diligence to understand what your risk is by holding that specific stablecoin. There are a lot of stablecoins in the crypto market, some with a much less risk appetite than what you're seeing here. S&P highlights that Tether has increased the share of higher risk assets and reserves, including Bitcoin, gold, and secured loans, corporate bonds, and other investments subject to market and credit risk. S&P notes that Bitcoin exposure alone is now larger than USDT's over-collateralized buffer, so a sharp downturn in Bitcoin plus riskier assets could make USDT under-collateralized on paper. This is why they won't show you. What do you think Bo Hines does at Tether all day, right? Do you think like, now he's a part of this, right? Now he's a part of this. I don't know, man. There's something weird going on there. The agency also points to persistent disclosure gaps, limited visibility of the credit quality, and custodians and counterparties, lack of asset segregation to protect users if the issuer fails, and constraints on direct redemption for many holders. The structural issues mean confidence could erode quickly in a crisis. All right, this is some interesting stuff. Texas becomes the first state to buy Bitcoin, investing $10 million. Great state of Texas. Love to see that. It would be great if we did support some American innovation, but we know that Bitcoin's always going to come first here. But I think we should be paying attention to XRP, Solana, Chainlink, XLM, and some other assets, maybe Cardano too. So hopefully other states realize that it's not just Bitcoin out here. And if you don't just want a digital store of value, there's a whole world of utility and value that we can be looking at. And Scott Bessent, the treasurer of the United States here under Trump, is removing all regulatory barriers against Bitcoin and crypto.
We will take a close look at regulatory impediments to blockchain, stablecoins, and new payment systems. And we will consider reforms to unleash the awesome power of the American capital markets. Americans deserve a financial services industry that works for all Americans, including and especially Main Street.
Unleash its awesome power. Like, I don't know what it is. When I hear stuff like that, my mind goes to like Morphin Power Rangers from like 30 years ago when I was a kid, you know, Unleash the power, connect them all. All right, we get a little lost sometimes here. Dan Weiskopf of Tidal Financial Group on Bitcoin's recent down draw, believing it's a healthy correction. So let's go ahead and check in with here what's going on with Bitcoin.
No, I think that as measured by Bitcoin particularly, listen, it's down 10% on the year. Everybody thinks Bitcoin should just go up to the right in a linear fashion. 10% pullback. Well, we started the year at 94, 97. We're down 10%. I look at that as a pause. And by the way, that's in the context of the SPY or the S&P 500 and the Qs up, 15 and 18%. But blocks up 35%. Listen, blockchain isn't just Bitcoin. So I think we're still growing very, very rapidly, and capital is coming into the space.
Well, some are arguing this is just a necessary cooling off after an overheated Q1. Is this actually just a healthy reset for Bitcoin?
It's a healthy reset. And, I think that people use Bitcoin to measure progress, and that's fair. But again, I would say that when you pull back, you get the opportunity for new investors to get in. We experienced some pushback when we were up 50, 60% in block, that we had moved too quickly. So now we're giving investors the opportunity to get a better price, and maybe that means a better upside.
Hey, I think, to get new investors in when they see stuff at 120, Bitcoin at 125, pushing 130, they're like, maybe I've missed this train already. And that's why you see investment into Ethereum and XRP and other top altcoins. And so, you're going to get this pullback in crypto. If you're not comfortable yet of riding this wave, you just need to take a deep breath and back up. Make sure that you talk to that financial advisor, have a plan for what you're trying to do in the market. My plan here is I am just going to keep buying. When we dip, I will buy more and I will add to my bags, because I'm looking at a 5 or 10 year picture of the crypto market, not just playing it, because timing the top and the bottom and trying to get in and out, you got the taxes over here, like that's exhausting. I am not a chart specialist. I go with the news and I understand where the space is going, and I don't want to miss it, right? Like if I sell at the wrong time and I don't get back in, I could lose some of my assets, and it's just not worth it to me to take some of this risk for 5, 10, 20%. I'm gonna just stay here to the end here, right? Like that's where I'm trying to get to. XRP reaching a 4 to 5 digit price. That is my target, and I will be here until that day. XRP yearly candles form and the cup and handle. The pattern is waiting for a further surge. What is this going to mean here? The tweet attached chart indicate analysis for XRP showing a classic cup and handle bullish pattern on the yearly candles chart. This technical pattern suggests a potential strong upward price movement after a period of consolidation. So this is really good to see, guys. I do think the price is going to keep heading up. More ETFs come in, more news, more marketing, more investors. This is what we need. Happy holidays. I hope you guys are doing really well. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day.